All right, you guys. So before we jump in, I've got a couple things I want to talk to you about. And first and foremost, I'd like to welcome Lynchyinc to the server. He contacted me over Reddit, and we're definitely happy to have him on the server. And I'm going to leave it at that because we could talk about how great it is to have someone of his caliber working on the server for ages. Anyway, moving on. The application process for Third Echelon. We've sort of figured out what we want to do. And it's kind of funny because it's actually a very simple answer. And in fact, it's kind of how we've handled every application so far. And that is that Third Echelon is, and probably always will be, a server that is based on invitation only. However, in order for us to know who's interested in being invited, we need to know who you are. Now, I would have invited someone like Lynchyinc right away, but I would have assumed that he would have answered with, I don't know who the heck you are. At least at our time right now, as we're still sort of growing as a server. So people like, let's use as an example again, Lynchyinc, people like him coming to me have a very good chance of being a part of the server because they've already demonstrated that they can really bring a lot to a community. So if you feel like you're at a sort of caliber like that, where you have a lot to bring to the community, you've got tremendous building talent or really good at redstone or whatever, you've got a talent that you think would make our community even greater, definitely let me know that you're interested. Post on the Third Echelon subreddit that you're interested in, and we'll look over your stuff. If you want to post some images of your builds, videos are best just because we sort of get to know who you are a lot faster. But it's not a requirement that you post videos. It's also easier for us to know that you didn't just steal somebody else's build and claim it as your own. Anyway, so moving on, what I want to talk about today is kind of where I've been lately, why I haven't put out videos, and sort of what's going on. I don't know if you guys can hear, but I'm a little bit under the weather right now. And on top of that, I mentioned in one of my earlier videos that I am working a job that is probably going to continue going until mid-October. And I've basically just been tremendously busy. In fact, I don't know, you guys have probably seen the Reddit post that Pecos put up of the drawings he's done of the members of the server. The job I'm currently working on, the storyboards were in fact done by Pecos, so always a pleasure to work with him. Anyway, where was I? So today what I want to talk to you guys about is 1.7 and how we're going to make the transition from 1.6 to 1.7 with Third Echelon, and how we're going to keep the world looking sort of clean and pristine. And I should also mention that when I play in the snapshot, as you can see, I'm in 13W38C. As I play in the snapshot, I don't have any lag whatsoever. The game runs great. But as I've seen in some of my recordings, when I'm moving, it actually at times feels really laggy. And I'm not sure if that's actually the game itself. I'm sorry, I'm not sure if that's the recording itself or if it's the playback, and maybe when it uploads to YouTube it might look fine. So if you guys notice any lagginess, please bear with me. For the next couple episodes, I'm going to be talking about something that really doesn't depend on whether or not the game looks laggy. It's more about the principle behind it. So I think you guys will still enjoy what I'm bringing to the table. With that said, I'm going to hop into Minecraft, and we're going to continue this episode. Alright, so here we are in a creative single-player world version of the Third Echelon server. Now, what I want to talk to you guys about specifically are the new biomes and the changes to existing biomes. Right now I'm in a taiga biome, here you can see, and I'm above Y level 100, well above level 100. I'm beyond the clouds, and now it starts to snow way up here at nope, it stopped raining. But anyway, as you can see, it doesn't actually snow down here anymore. And what I'm going to need to do in order to keep my ice tray from not working, by the way, I do in fact know why that's there. It took me a while to figure it out. I'll get to that in a second. But the ice tray is no longer going to operate as it did because it's not going to snow in this biome anymore. So one of the things I've been doing is using F3. I've been mapping out where the border of the taiga biome is. As you can see, when I move around, I can figure out that's river, that's taiga, river, 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 taiga. So I can use this to sort of map out where the taiga biome is. And then once I'm done with this ridiculously long task, I can go into MC Edit and I can grab, using these as a guide, I can grab everything inside of the sponges and change the biome so that instead of being taiga, it's the new type of ice taiga or whatever. So basically it'll be a biome where it continues to snow. So that's what I'm going to be doing for this particular taiga biome, and possibly R. Stong's taiga biome as well, because it's really close to his base, and it might be something that he would want to keep. I'm not sure. I'll have to talk to him about it. Anyway, and the reason that I'm using sponges is because in MC Edit, since these do not exist anywhere naturally in the game, I could just select a huge range and use fill and replace to remove sponges and replace them with air, and I wouldn't have any problems. Now, if you're wondering what that's about, let's go ahead and take a look at a map of how this world generated in 1.6. Alright, so now I'm going to switch over to a map that was generated in the same coordinates in 1.7. So you can see that there's a lot of desert. So popping back over here, what I did, and you'll notice that this is only half of a desert temple. What I did was I copied in 1.6 blocks, chunks really, into a 1.7 generated world in order to see what I was sort of dealing with. That's how I figured out all that stuff and everything. And what I did was I selected a large radius around the stuff I just put in, and I repopulated the chunks because I wanted to see how the world would react to having biomes that were something that were from 1.6 but generating in 1.7. Now this is kind of interesting because it works exactly as it should. It repopulates based on the biome, and it gives you the appropriate stuff that should be there, but it generated this structure in the wrong biome. Now, that wouldn't be so strange on its own, except if I go over here, you can see that my swamp biome, which is also from 1.6, where I have a witch hut, when I repopulated the same command in this enormous area I grabbed, it doubled my witch hut. It spawned a second witch hut on top of the existing one. That's really crazy. And as you can see, it did exactly what I expected. It did the right thing. It put stuff that I normally wouldn't be able to get in 1.6 in these 1.6 biomes in the 1.7 rendition of those same biomes, which you saw this would probably be desert. But you can see here that it gave me the orchids. So that's really interesting. I was just doing some tests, trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to handle this. Now, something else I want to bring to your attention is that, actually this doesn't look so bad from this angle, but you guys can ignore also that's the jungle court back there I've been working on, trying to get it situated in the world, find out where it's going to go. But the way that Extreme Hills generates in the current version, like in 1.7, the way the Extreme Hills biomes generate, the snow doesn't look so bad. Like seems like it belongs. But in 1.6, it just doesn't look quite right. I mean, I've got snow generating just on top of this tree. And there's something that's even weirder. Let me go ahead and toggle downfall. Something that's even weirder is that over here, by the way, I'm at Y98, and as you can see, way down here at Y91, I've already got snow coming down. What's even weirder is that if I go up higher, now I'm in basically all snow, but it generates in patches, even at Y level 100. Like if I'm at, right now I'm at 102, and there's fire. I guess I've got my sound down, so I probably didn't hear the thunder, or the lightning. Yeah, I would have heard the thunder. Never mind. Anyway, but you can see here that this is raining, and it rains like way up into like 105, which is, it's just really strange. So I don't know. And as you can see, I'm in Extreme Hills the entire place. It doesn't change to something else. So what I've decided I could do in order to fix this area is I can switch this biome out to be Taiga Hills, because Taiga Hills have the same color in terms of biome, but they don't snow. So that will take care of that. And I'm just sort of figuring out exactly what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it. Now, this is the worst part. My tower that I built on the server, where I've got my fireworks display underneath, every time I load anything from 1.6 with the 1.7 snapshots, these 4 chunks right here revert to 1.7 generated terrain. I'll copy it back in later in the video and show you how that works and just how weird that is. But it's something that needs to be stated, because what my original plan was on the server is I was going to update to 1.7 in the snapshots. And I was going to let people go around and explore and find new 1.7 biomes and take, the podzol, the different flowers and new, like the packed ice and all that. Basically take whatever you want from those biomes, except that you are only allowed to continue building and whatnot in your existing base in 1.6. And that way I could see where things were starting to generate in 1.7. And I'm going to go ahead and toggle the downfall right now. See if I can, I don't know if this is partially contributing to that lag that might be happening. Anyway, what I was going to do is I was going to update the server and let people go around and find the new biomes and get a crap ton of hardened clay or whatever they're looking for, and then continue to build in their existing base. That way I could see where the chunks sort of don't match, and then I could look at the map I've generated of 1.6 and 1.7, and I could sort of decide what I want to swap it for. If I wanna take some of the 1.6 biomes and switch them out for what would be there in 1.7, or if I want to just completely copy back in the 1.6 stuff and basically figure it out that way. Now, because of this problem, I'm not going to do that, because I don't want to have people have pockets in their base of weird stuff that can't be fixed. So I'm going to be waiting until this bug gets fixed regardless. I really hope this gets fixed in when 1.7 finally comes out, because this is going to be absolutely a nightmare to have my amazing tower fireworks display that's been here since last year no longer here. Alright, so now I want to show you guys a technique for one way that you could stitch things together, and it's just sort of a proof of concept I want to show you. So let's go ahead and hop into another world. Alright, so here we are in a world with 1.7 generated geometry, and I'm just going to go ahead and show you over here, and you guys will remember the map I showed you earlier with all the deserts, and here's the savanna biome. And I gotta be honest with you guys, I do not like the way this biome looks at all. Building a base here just doesn't seem like a good idea to me, because the grass is so dead, and I already sort of live with the fact that Extreme Hills grass is nothing impressive anyway. Let's go ahead and take a look at where Extreme Hills meets 1.7 desert. Now, this is something that I've always sort of known about Minecraft, world generation algorithms, is that they sometimes have a lot in common. As you can see here, this actually looks like it belongs here. I mean, it really looks like it fits right up to this point, because this is the hills of the Extreme Hills, and it looks like here's a hill here, but it's just not as extreme in the desert. So that's kind of interesting. In fact, I wonder if this is considered desert hills, or yeah, it is. There you go. So that's pretty interesting. So you see the desert hills actually matches up with the extreme hills, but the normal desert not so much. Now I'm going to go ahead and pop into MC Edit, and we're going to take a look at this, and we're going to see what we can do with minimal effort to get this to look less bad. It's still not going to be something you could live with in game, but that's only because I'm going to be rushing through it. Whereas you would want to take a little bit more care and replace back and forth, replace different chunks and stuff until you get something you really like. And this is a really time-consuming process, but I'm going to show you how it can quickly start to feel like you're making progress. So here I outlined where the river biome is, and I'm just gonna show you what you would use that for. Again, I would actually want to go around, and it's actually not super important. It's kind of more important that you just get rid of the desert, so that if you were to put grass there, it's not going to be an ugly color. I mean, that's kind of the real reason, because the river appears to be so far inset that the grass is still going to look extreme hillsy right here, and it's not going to have that river tint, which is actually pretty close to extreme hills anyway. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump into MC Edit and take a look at what we can do with this area. Alright, so off camera, I placed some sponges, and then I logged out and logged back in, and they were still there. So that'd be interesting to see if maybe all you have to do to fix this is place some stuff and then replace the stuff back with MC Edit. So I grabbed from another world that hadn't gone into 1.7 yet, another backup. I grabbed the tower, and I'm going to hit chunk align, make sure it's in the right spot. As you can see here, it lines up perfectly, and then I'm going to hit enter. So let's see what happens, because maybe it only fixed that one chunk. Oh, and actually that's kind of funny. I didn't copy and replace the air. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's do copy air, copy biomes, chunk align, and enter. Alright, let's see what happens now. But anyway, let's go ahead and continue working on what we were talking about. Alright, so as you can see, we've got a desert and extreme hills, and they don't play well together. Now, like I said, if you were to have actually gone around and mapped out where the what do you call this? The river biome was. This would be a much nicer looking result, because you could go ahead and using the filter, switching to set biome, and extreme hills in this case is mountains. I'm going to hit filter. You'd be able to go around and get a nice transition that goes around the river biome into extreme hills. But I don't have the patience to go around and do that for something that's just a test, especially since this is absolutely not what I'm going to do on the real server with this area, because I like what used to generate there a lot better. So we're going to go ahead and do this and just kind of get this out of the way. Alright, so let's go ahead and grab this, and then I'm going to... Oh, let's not go that far. Let's go ahead and hit select chunks. You don't actually have to select the entire chunk when using the filter. I actually just forgot to do it. I'm selecting the chunks for another reason. So right now, because we've got extreme hills, and the desert is now extreme hills, but it doesn't really look like it matches still, because it's still sand and whatnot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use fill and replace. I'm going to look for sand. Alright, and I'm going to replace it with grass. There you go. Then I'm going to use fill and replace, and I'm going to look for sandstone, and I'm just going to replace it with dirt for now. It might be better to replace it with stone. I kind of feel like dirt's okay though. I actually really like having a large supply of dirt at the ready. Anyway, so now that's fixed, and as you can see, it already starts to look like it belongs. In fact, it's kind of hard to see where that original seam was already. You can see we've got cactus and whatnot growing on a type of block that it shouldn't exist on. So one thing you can do to fix that is you could just play and you could punch them and get them off of this type of block, or you could use fill and replace them with air. But what I recommend you do in this sort of case, I mean, this is kind of an extreme difference between desert and extreme hills. But because this now extreme hills biome isn't that extreme. When you repopulate to get the trees and stuff growing, they seem sort of underwhelming. Like, it doesn't seem like there's enough of them. So what I suggest doing in this case is searching for dead shrub. And I'm going to replace it with a sapling. And I'm going to go ahead and use a birch sapling just to get some more variety. And then I'm going to use fill and replace, and I'm going to look for cactus. And I'm going to do the same thing, except that I'm going to replace it with a regular sapling. There we go. And you'll notice that there's going to be like stacked saplings. Let's see, over here. You can see these ones are finished loading in the viewer. That's totally fine. They're going to run a test. They're going to run a check, like a tick check or whatever. And when they try to see if they can sprout into a tree, if they are floating like this, they'll just pop off and they'll eventually despawn and no problems. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit select chunks, even though you don't really have to, but it's going to kind of do it anyway. And then I'm going to use chunk control, and I'm going to hit repopulate. All right, and now I'm going to save it. Now it's worth noting that if you look down here, now keep in mind that I just repopulated some stuff and whatever that was already extreme hills because I didn't grab it right on that line. And to refresh your memory on where that line is, it's pretty clearly right here. But you'll notice over here that there's not really any water or sand or gravel or anything. But when we actually load the game in, it's going to generate those little holes and stuff, which is pretty cool. And it's really smart at which biome it's using and stuff. So let's go ahead and look at this inside of Minecraft, and let's see if this got fixed at all. All right, well, sadly, the tower is still gone. So I'm not really 100% sure how to handle that. I'll figure something out eventually, and maybe it'll just get fixed, who knows. But let's go ahead and take a look at this. As you can see here, it generated, when I repopulated, it generated this. It generated some fully grown trees. But like I said, you know, sometimes it's nice to get a little bit more trees because they seem a little bit sparse because it's not as hilly. When it's more hilly like this, it's a lot more forgiving when there's not as many trees. But because the desert's not as hilly, this looks pretty good. And here you can see over time these are going to start growing. And if I watch this guy right here, you can already see one of them popped off, just like I was saying it would. Anyway, that's really as simple as it possibly could be in some cases. And this is a pretty drastic change, being a desert. So this process, which given a little bit more effort and time, could yield some great results. And this is going to be one of the many tools I'm going to use in order to bring the server up to 1.7 with seamless stitched biomes from 1.6 to 1.7. Anyway, I thank you guys for watching. I hope this has helped you a little bit. And I know this looks a little bit weird, but that's just because there's no torches down there. Let me go ahead and switch that over. You can see that it is in fact the same color grass. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.